So next year is coming sooner than we'd like to think. For some of you, you are already in full-blown planning mode for the next homeschooling year. Others of you won't think about it till probably the summer or maybe even a week or two before school. That's okay. No matter where you are, I want to give you 5 steps that you can take to help you plan your homeschool curriculum for next year so that it will sure to be a success. So let's get started. Hi, my name is Katie and welcome to Life in the Mundane. I am a second-generation homeschool mom of 6 beautiful kiddos, and on this channel we talk all things resources. I love to share with you resources that are going to help you in your homeschooling and help encourage you in your biblical parenting and how you can utilize those to their fullest potential so that you can make the most of the little moments. This video is done in collaboration with my friends at Calm in the Chaos and Homegrown Homeschooler. There are several of us homeschool moms coming to you guys, sharing with you what we do in preparation for the upcoming year, how we pick curriculum, those kinds of things. So be sure to check out the playlist down in the description below so you guys can see all of those great videos and get lots of ideas, get those juices flowing to get you ready for planning your homeschool year. Now, let's jump into our first step in planning our homeschool year. The first step should always be to check your homeschool state laws. You can do that by going to hslda.org and looking up your specific state homeschool laws. Even if you've been homeschooling for years and years and years, I recommend going and checking those laws every single year because you never know when changes might happen. You always want to be up to date on the latest information. After you figured out what is absolutely required by your state law, I also suggest doing a quick Google search for your kids' grades. Maybe seeing things, especially as you're getting for your oldest child and you're getting into new grades you haven't taught before, Googling things like, what is the typical requirements for grade 7 in the state of Kansas or wherever you are in whatever grade it is. I don't believe that we have to hold to these standards unless it is required by law. And I do think there's a lot of flexibility and freedom in homeschooling and be able to choose what is best for you, for your family, and for your child. But I do find it very helpful to see what kinds of things are typically taught in that grade. Then I can make the conscious choice to decide whether I want to teach it or not, but I'm not missing a big piece of curriculum. I'm missing a big piece of information that I just totally didn't even know existed or wasn't aware that that's the typical time to introduce it. So don't feel chained to those things. They're just tools to help you in planning your upcoming year. The second thing I'm going to recommend that you do is create a list of children that you're teaching for the next year and create a list of subjects that you'd like to cover for that. That is where finding out your state laws and finding out what is typically taught can really be helpful when it comes to your kids. You're going to want to find a central location to keep this information. A couple of different ideas of ways you could do this is by using Post-it notes or index cards and just maybe color coding your kids. Each kid is a different color, and then you have a note card for math, for language arts, for Bible, for those kinds of things. Then as you start to plug in the different subjects and what you're going to be using for those subjects, you can just write that on the back. It really makes it easy to visualize for your kids and can also be used to help you set up their schedule when it comes to that time. I prefer to do this digitally. In the past, I have done it on a Google Doc, but it's not as easy to move around and manipulate as things change because they definitely do change. So I've actually started this year using a Trello board. Trello is a free online resource, and I have done some videos in the past on how I use Trello in my home. I'll leave those links down below for you guys, but I simply create a Trello board that is our homeschool curriculum for the next school year. I make a list for each child and then individual cards for each subject. It allows me to leave links to potential curriculum I'm looking at, to be able to quickly be able to identify what has been bought and what has not, and I'll show you a little bit more about that here in a second. But right now, you're just going to want to set up a simple list. Children, and the different subjects you want to teach each of those children. Step 3 is absolutely critical if you have homeschooled before. Absolutely critical. And actually, even if you haven't homeschooled before, I still think it's something you should do. And that is to evaluate how the past year has gone. What curriculums worked well? What was a struggle for your child? Did they need extra help in an area? Did you have enough fun inserted to the school year? Do you need to maybe cut back on some of the fun stuff because you need to make more time for the academics that are important? Just spending time evaluating those things, looking at what curriculums did work well and that you want to continue into next year and which ones didn't. Those evaluation tools will really help you make next year a much more seamless transition. You won't be planning for the children you wish you had or the kind of homeschool you hope you had. You'll be planning for what you actually have. Step 4 is when you are finally able and ready to jump into all of that fun curriculum research. The reason why this is the fourth step and not the first step is because you do want to make sure you're not wasting a lot of time. You could spend time falling in love with a curriculum that doesn't actually meet the criteria for your state. Or maybe you spend a lot of time worrying about subjects that you're not even sure you're going to have time to cover this year. By putting steps 1 through 3 into place ahead of time will really help you to maximize your time. Now, as you start plugging things into that Trello board or onto your note cards, you'll get to see those gaps. If your math has worked well for you last year and you want to continue it next year, you don't need to research math anymore. If you're doing a history curriculum, like for instance, in the past, we've done Story of the World, and after we did 1, we just did 2. So I didn't have to every year kind of come up with a history curriculum. This will help you see what you actually have left, what holes you need to find. Then you can jump into all the fun of researching. The ways I love to research is talking to other homeschool moms, finding out what they love. I love to check YouTube videos out and see lots of curriculum reviews. If you want to see some of the reviews I've done in the past, you can check out that link up in the iCards or down in the description below. Attending homeschool conferences is another way to really get to see the curriculum that you're thinking about and really be able to flip through it and identify what might work best for you and your child. And as you do this, you're going to be able to start plugging in different resources onto your board, onto your cards, being able to see where your holes are truly left. I think you'll find that more is planned out than you thought, or maybe if you're doing a complete curriculum overhaul or you're brand new to homeschooling, this gives you the next several months to be able to fill in those holes and to be able to see. Just make sure whenever you're doing any kind of planning, you're really planning for the kids you have and for the kind of homeschool flavor that you have and not for what you wish you had. I've done this so many years where I've been like, okay, we're gonna do all these extracurriculars. We're gonna do this really hands-on curriculum, but yet we don't actually have time for it. Take those into consideration, but just know that things will change. There will be ebb and flow. You will adapt. You will add things as you go and you will take things away. And that's okay. Release yourself from that guilt right now and you'll save yourself a lot of grief. The fifth and final step that I use to prepare for my new homeschooling year is to have some kind of color coding system or some way to keep track of what I've bought, what I need to buy still, to have a way to kind of keep track of where you are in the process, right? Because there is the research phase. There is the going in and being able and ready to start buying things. And then there's also the prepping phase and things like that. Just during this time, during the spring or summer, I really like to make sure that the research phase is done and I start to purchase things. I find it to be a lot easier on my pocketbook and a lot easier on my mental space if I start to do that research and starting to buy now. I know I don't have to have everything bought until I'm ready to start the beginning of the school year. But having those things is great to do that in steps. You just need to have a system in place to be able to keep track of where you are. So you don't get to the first day of school and realize, oh my goodness, I forgot to buy the next level of Explode the Code or something like that. So with this, on my Trello board, the way I do this is as I have decided what curriculum I'm going to do for each subject, I insert a picture. I just grab one from Google Pics. I insert a picture of that curriculum into their list. So it makes it really easy for me able to visually identify what I've picked curriculum for and what I'm still waiting on curriculum for. Then within that, I will color code it and we'll select a color for different things. So pink might be that I've selected the curriculum, but I have not ordered. I still need to order it. Maybe yellow would be that I have ordered it, but I'm waiting for it to arrive. Blue would be that it's completely arrived, and green would mean that I'm all ready to go on that. I'm prepped, ready for the first day of school. Having that system allows me to easily identify what curriculums I need to look for. I was just talking to a friend the other day who was ordering things on Rainbow Resources. If you guys don't know about Rainbow Resource, you definitely need to check it out. It's an amazing homeschool curriculum page where you can order a lot of different curriculums from different companies at great prices. But one of the beautiful things and kind of frustrating things about the company is that you can get free shipping if you have $50 or more. So many times I've had myself or friends that have gone on there to order a very specific item and it doesn't quite get to that $50 threshold. And then they're sitting here just piecing together with little extra things. Now, sometimes those are great treasures and really fun times. But a lot of times, if you have this system here of all of your kids, all of the subjects, and what you have left to buy, you could easily go in and say, oh, I need this assigned reader for my child, and it's only a couple of bucks. I could throw that on there and actually be checking off a list when it comes to my upcoming homeschool year. So just being planned like that, just having that planning in advance, having those systems in place to keep track of where you are and what you have left, allows you to breathe easy. Don't feel the pressure that you have to get it all done now. I really do recommend doing it in phases and stages, trying out different things. But this really gives you that freedom to do it and knowing that you're not going to miss a whole bunch of things in the process. I hope this video has been helpful, but this is only one way that you can plan for your homeschool year. There are lots of different ways you can do so. Be sure to check out the playlist in the link below so that you guys can see how other homeschool moms do it. Maybe someone else will jive more with your method of doing it. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye!